Now you will listen the special update in English.
In Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir, the All-Party Hurriyat Conference has welcomed the dossier issued by Government of Pakistan on the massive atrocities committed by Indian troops against unarmed Kashmiris in the occupied territory. All-Party Hurriyat Conference Assistant General Secretary Khwaja Firdaus, in a statement issued in Srinagar today, said Pakistan has always exposed war crimes committed by Indian troops in occupied Jammu and Kashmir. He maintained that the dossier shows Pakistan's unflinching commitment to the Kashmir cause and political rights of the Kashmiri people. He also hailed Foreign Minister Shah Mahmood Qureshi's appeal for an increased pressure by the United Nations and the international community on India to give the United Nations Human Rights Council access to the occupied territory for an independent inquiry into human rights violations. Meanwhile, Indian troops have laid a siege around the grave of the iconic Kashmiri freedom leader Sayyid Ali Gilani, fearing that people may build a monument at the site in recognition of veteran leaders' services for the Kashmir cause. 36 army and paramilitary vehicles have been deployed in a radius of 500 meters around the grave. In Islamabad, Pakistan, former president of Azad Jammu and Kashmir, Sardar Muhammad Yaqub Khan, visited the office of All-Party Hurriyat Conference IIOJK chapter in Islamabad today and condoled the demise of Baba Hurriyat Sayyid Ali Gilani and Executive Director of Kashmir Media Service, Sheikh Tajammulul Islam. United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights, Michelle Bachelet, voiced her continued concern over the situation in Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir at the start of the 48th session of the United Nations Human Rights Council on Human Rights Developments around the world. She said Indian authorities' restrictions on public assembly and frequent communication blackouts continue in Jammu and Kashmir while hundreds of people remain in detention for exercising their right to freedom of expression and journalists face ever-growing pressure. Meanwhile, Hurriyat leaders Javed Ahmed Mir, Jammu and Kashmir National Front, Tehreek-e-Wahdat-e-Islami, Jammu and Kashmir Employees Movement and Political Resistance Movement in their statements while welcoming the United Nations Special Rapporteur's remarks regarding the custodial killing of Tehreek-e-Hurriyat chairman Shaheed Mohammad Ashraf Sehrai and illegal arrest of his sons after his funeral, urged the international community to play a role in resolving the Kashmir dispute to save the South Asian region from a nuclear catastrophe. Indian troops continue to ruthlessly kill innocent Kashmiris in Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir to suppress their genuine demand for right to self-determination acknowledged by the United Nations in its number of resolutions on Kashmir. A report released by Kashmir Media Service said that only after the abrogation of special status of Jammu and Kashmir in August 2019, 428 Kashmiris so far have been killed by Indian troops in occupied territory. Indian authorities shifted 25 political prisoners from Srinagar Central Jail to Rajouri Sub-Jail. 3 civilians were injured in a grenade blast near a police vehicle at Shahid Park in Pulwama town. A group of prominent Indian citizens in a meeting in New Delhi have demanded repeal of plague laws like Unlawful Activities Prevention Act, which are adversely used by Indian forces in occupied Jammu and Kashmir and against Muslims in India. And in India, another video has come to surface in which 4 self-proclaimed upper caste Hindus can be seen abducting, beating, stripping naked, making fun and ultimately gang-raping a liberal Dalit girl in Yadgir district of Karnataka state. Although of an 8-month-old incident and the perpetrators arrested now, the viral video strengthens the notion as why India is branded as Rapistan and placed by different international organizations in the lists of places dangerous for women. Meanwhile, in another incident of mob lynching, Hindu extremists killed a 17-year-old Muslim boy in Banat village near Shamli town of western Uttar Pradesh. And this is for now. Have a good night and keep listening to Radio Sada Hurriyat Jammu Kashmir.